Welcome, pilots! This video is part of a series that will focus on fitting pirate faction cruisers for running combat sites. In this episode, I'll be shining a spotlight on the Gila, a faction cruiser with a beefy shield tank and strong medium combat drones. In order to fly the Gila, you'll need both your Galent cruiser and Caldari cruiser skills trained to at least level 2. Continuing to train Galent cruiser will increase your damage with kinetic and thermal missiles, while continuing to train Caldari cruiser will increase your shield resistances. The Gila's roll bonus gives it a massive boost to medium combat drone damage and hit points, though it only has enough drone bandwidth to field 2 medium drones. The ship has the most shield hit points of any cruiser, but has a rather restrictive power grid and capacitor. With 6 mid-power slots and only 3 low-power slots, the Gila is clearly meant to be shield tanked. There are 3 main fitting options you'll be choosing for the Gila. The first option is whether to use rapid light missiles, heavy missiles, or heavy assault missiles. Perhaps the best way to look at this option for the Gila is to note each module's power grid usage. Heavy assault missiles have the shortest range but highest DPS, and are the strongest against larger targets. Heavy missiles have the longest range but lowest DPS. Rapid light missiles have middling range and DPS, but a lengthy reload cycle, and are strongest when you have to clear out a large number of smaller targets. With such strong drone support and a restrictive power grid, I personally prefer to use rapid lights on the Gila. The second fitting option is whether to use an active or passive shield tank. And the third fitting option is your choice of propulsion module. The Gila's low velocity makes the micro-warp drive the more natural choice. But you might prefer an afterburner, keeping in mind it's likely to slow you down a little. It turned out that I only needed to build a single fit for the Gila, a passive shield tank. But before I present that fit, I thought I'd show an alternative fit with an active shield tank for viewers that might prefer that approach. This active shield fit remains untested, but I'm fairly confident it should perform well even against Blood and Sancha NPCs. It uses Tech 2 rapid light missile launchers, both Caldari Navy and Federation Navy medium drones, and 2 Tech 2 drone damage amplifiers. When fielding Federation Navy hammerheads, its damage output reaches 650 DPS. I do keep a flight of 4 Caldari Navy Hornets in the drone bay for situations where I'm facing only frigates or spider drones. A Sisters Core probe launcher is fit in the utility high power slot with Sisters probes. The active shield tank consists of a Pitham C-type medium shield booster, a Tech 2 multi-spectrum shield hardener, and 2 shield boost amplifiers in the mid-slots. One of them is the compact variation to avoid going over on CPU, along with 2 core defense operational solidifier rigs to achieve a shield boost rate of just over 130 hit points per second. Some of the past Pirate Faction cruiser fits I've presented used a Tech 2 large shield booster. The Gila's restrictive power grid and capacitor make this difficult, so the Dead Space medium shield booster with extra shield boost modules makes for a good compromise. So long as the micro-warp drive isn't running, the fit is cap stable. It includes a Republic Fleet large cap battery, and a Tech 2 capacitor control circuit rig. The final low-power slot is a compact omnidirectional tracking enhancer to help your medium drones hit smaller targets a little easier. I've included a Tech 2 EM shield hardener in the cargo bay. You can swap out the compact shield booster for this when you enter Blood or Sancha space. Moving along to the fit that I actually tested out. This is the passive shield fit I use to run every high-security combat site, including the most difficult Blood and Sancha sites. Its offensive modules are identical to the active shield fit, with Tech 2 rapid light missile launchers, the same complement of drones, and 2 Tech 2 drone damage amplifiers. A Sisters Core probe launcher is fit in the utility high power slot, with Sisters probes. The passive shield tank consists of 4 Republic Fleet large shield extenders and a Tech 2 multi-spectrum shield hardener in the mid-slots, along with 3 Tech 2 core defense field extender rigs. The compact power diagnostic system is needed to ensure there's enough power grid, but also helps to enhance the shield tank. The shields recharge at a rate of over 90 hit points per second, with a massive buffer of just over 32,000 hit points. After trying out this fit across all regions of high security space, I actually found I was able to swap out the 4th shield extender for another module. You could drop in something like a sensor booster, or omnidirectional tracking link instead. In the previous Pirate Faction cruiser videos, I showcased footage against the most difficult high-security combat sites. For the Gila, I thought I'd start out this section by highlighting how quickly the Gila can handle all of the 4 of 10 DED sites. From the moment the initial acceleration gate is activated to the moment the commander wreck is looted, these are the approximate times it took for me to complete these sites. The Grista and Angel Cartel sites can be run in just under 5 minutes, the Sanchez Nation in about 5.5 minutes, and the Serpentis in just under 6 minutes. The fastest way to run the Molzatah Monastery would be to bookmark the Inner Sanctum wreck, warp out, and wait for the site to despawn. It takes under 5 minutes to destroy the Inner Sanctum, but with the additional warp and wait time, this will come close to 8 minutes in total. The Gila's monster shield tank makes it incredibly resilient in the Angel Vigil site. I employed my usual tactic of bookmarking Pat Weed's wreck and warping out to wait for the site to despawn. But I got the impression you could easily stay engaged here. Even with the lower EM resistance on shields, the Gila's tank has no trouble staying engaged in the Blood or Sancha Vigil sites. If there's any drawback to the Gila, it's that it's not quite as quick to snipe frigate commanders as many other ships. In the Grista, Angel, and Blood 3 of 10 sites, you'll have to get yourself in range in the final room before you can fire your missiles, and it takes even more time for your drones to reach the target. So if you find yourself in direct competition with other pilots flying, say, a tactical destroyer or the Orthrus, you may be at a disadvantage. There's no question that the Gila is among the strongest ships for blitzing high-security combat sites. If you're looking for a path to making enough ISK to plex your account, it's a reliable ship for accomplishing this goal even for alpha pilots. It actually makes this activity a little too easy, so if you're like me, you might find that this path leads to boredom or burnout in Eve. In the few weeks I spent running sites in the Gila for this video, I personally found myself looking forward to moving along to the next Pirate Faction cruiser. And that's all I have for the Gila. In the next part of the series, I'll showcase some PvE fits for the Orthrus. If you ever need a little help running any combat site you find in high security space, you can check out my comprehensive library of video guides right here on this channel. Stay tuned to Riley Entertainment for more EVE Online combat site guides, and smash that like button if you enjoy my content.